What's up, YouTube? ProTech here, back with another series of games for you today. Before we get started, I want to give a quick shout out to Ryan for the $3 donation. Thank you very much, dude. Really appreciate that. And again, Luigi for the $5 donation. Thank you very much for that, guys. Really appreciate it. Keeps me going, keeps me doing the content. Got a couple suggestions in the comments section about wanting more games. The only stipulation to this is that it takes a long time to upload a long video. So I'm going to attempt it today with a lot more games, and then we'll see how long that takes and whether it's worth it or not. I mean, we're talking like it may take all day to upload a longer video. So, but yeah, so here we go with video number 3 of the series, boys. Man, look at the search time when I'm not streaming. Holy fuck. I guess the only goddamn way to actually play the fucking game is to stream and have all the snipers fucking snipe you. I mean, for God's sake, if this isn't proof that half my damn viewership aren't fucking stream snipers, I don't know what is. Crikey. Alright, boys, game number 1 of the series today. We got 2 Terran versus random Zerg. Let's go. So when you play against 2 Terran on this map in particular, it's actually pretty imbalanced. Terran definitely has the edge. And the reason for this is because this third base right here is... I mean, let's just imagine a scenario, right? Terran player spawns here, and he goes 3 racks. Well, his Reapers are coming out here, and then going to your third base, right? So you have to somehow figure out how to connect your creep all the way down this way to this base. And that's just assuming the one Terran is spamming Reapers, right? Let's assume the other Terran is spamming Reapers. Well, then you've got 6 racks Reapers to deal with. So holding a third base is impossible, right? And that's just one scenario. You could have 3 racks Reapers with Hellions and Banshees. You could have 3 racks Reapers with 2 Factory Blue Flame Hellion. You could have 3 racks Reapers with like 2 Factory Hellion Siege Tank Push. In other words, realistically, trying to take this base early on this map is pretty disadvantageous. And the problem is that because you can't really get that third base at a reasonable time, and on top of that, you're expanding towards your opponent's production. Realistically, the only option that you have from the Zerg perspective here is to play 2 base for a little while and get up, you know, an army that will allow you to take and hold that third base. So if you were paying attention to the load screen, you would have seen that the rank of these players, at least on their profiles, were showing relatively low rank, right? But when you look at that micro, a low rank player is generally not going to have that decent of micro. So I do kind of get the idea that I'm fighting Smurfs here. Maybe not. Maybe they just had good control, because there's no second place for that guy. Which kind of makes me think that's a battle cruiser open. Wow, my spore crawler here just doesn't want to make. So the right side Terran player does not have an expansion, the left side Terran player does. So taking a third base here is kind of difficult. And I am absolutely not going to win this game, not with this teammate, and the level of skill that my opponents have shown so far. My teammate is not doing a build, he's just legit Bronze League. So you can see the level of stupidity on this map when you play against two Terran, right? So a little unfortunate, but I got the legit Bronze League teammate, and the opponents are both smurfing. It's kind of like a triple whammy, playing a map against two Terrans. That's imbalanced for Terran. The only thing you can realistically hope for here is that the Terran player on the right side is bad. But even then, I mean, we're just some too far behind. the left side Terran player definitely has probably 4 bases by now. There's no way. My teammate has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 drones on his net. Yeah, so there's no realistic way to win against 2 Terran by yourself. Let's just take a look at this guy's rank real quick. So, I mean, I got a bronze teammate, whatever, right? Shrug it off, nothing you can do. Alright, boys. Game number 3, or excuse me, game number 2 of the video series today. We got a random Zerg versus a Terran. I don't think this Terran player right here is going to get as lucky as he got last game, because the Terran player that he was playing with was smurfing in Gold League. So I am assuming that his teammate this game is not nearly as good. Plus the map is not nearly as good for 2 Terran. It's not terrible, but it's definitely not anywhere near the level of stupidity that Efflorescence is for Terran players. But I am playing at rank 2 on the server on Korea, so the issues that I'm going to run into are pretty mismatched games. Like we could see in last game that my teammate was bronze, right? And on Korea, the matchmaking is just it's just exponentially worse than the other servers. So I feel like this game will be a little more even than the last one, but we'll see. Yeah, I mean, hell, he might even drop here. I'm not sure who's lagging the game. You can never really tell when all of the loading bars are like halfway. But what I can say is typically when you're in loading screens like this, it's the low-ranked player who has the bad computer or bad internet connection or, you know, something like that. But yeah, this map is it's not a terrible Terran map. Like, you can still abuse drop play, and the reason I call it, or I say it's abuse, is because the distance between the mains and the natural and the expansions are really far apart, right? So if you are unprepared for drop play here, you're basically just kind of screwed. And my teammate did drop here, so I have to abuse the ego cheese. And it especially needs to be done on a map like this. Because if you try to play standard while controlling two bases, you're definitely going to run into some problems with the inability to deal with multitasking. So when you find yourself in a situation like this, realistically the best way to play is to do some kind of what I call economic cheese. And it doesn't always work on a map like this because the distance between the two bases are really far apart. But in my mind, this is definitely the proper way to play when your teammate drops or leaves the game at the start.
광물이 부족합니다. 광물이 부족합니다.
So we'll see how it goes. It's kind of fortunate that my teammate spawns Zerg, because with this play, I can use the Overlord for vision to spot the high ground.
베스핀가스가 부족합니다.
저승사자가 도착했다.
So we'll see. But the Terran player that I played from last game, he's pretty good, and it looked like he played a lot of 2v2, so
베스핀가스가
you may
부족합니다.
be expecting something like this.
저승사자가 도착했다.
베스핀가스가 부족합니다.
Yeah, he went for
베스핀가스가
2
부족합니다.
which is the correct response.
베스핀가스가 부족합니다.
사신이 누굴 처리해줄까?
Oh my god, they both went 3
베스핀가스가 부족합니다.
저승사자가 도착했다.
베스핀가스가 부족합니다.
누굴
You actually may end up having more Reapers than me
베스핀가스가
eventually.
부족합니다.
왜? 사신이 누굴 건설로만
보급고가 부족합니다.
저승사자가 도착.
베스핀가스가 부족합니다.
말해봐라. 하늘에
베스핀가스
건설로만 저승사자가 도착했다.
보급고가 부족합니다.
저승사자가 도착했다.
보급고가 부족합니다. 베스핀가스가 부족합니다.
저승사자가 도착했다. 왜? 말해봐라.
베스핀가스가 부족합니다.
무슨 일? 왜? 사실
베스핀가스가 부족합니다.
누굴 처리? 아주 중요한 하늘에 누구? 저승사자가 도착했다. 저승사자가 도착했다.
광물이 부족합니다.
사신이 두려워. 저승사자가 도착.
베스핀가스가 부족합니다.
건설로봇 준비 완료. 저승사자가 도착.
베스핀가스가 부족합니다.
그래서 중요한 일이 저승사자가 망했다.
베스핀가스가 부족합니다.
물론이지.
베스핀가스가 부족합니다.
저승사자가
I've actually got to
도착했다.
turn around here, because if I don't,
누굴 저승사자가 도착했다. 좋다.
베스핀가스가 부족합니다.
도착했다. 왜? 하늘
베스핀가스가 부족합니다.
도착했다.
베스핀가스가 부족합니다.
말해봐. 저승사자가 도착했다.
베스핀 가스가 부족합니다.
저승사자가 도착했다.
베스핀 가스가 부족합니다.
젠장, 망했다.
베스핀 가스가 부족합니다.
저승
기지가 공격받고 있습니다.
망했다.
베스핀 가스가 부족합니다.
저승
기지가 공격받고 있습니다. 베스핀 가스가
망했다.
건설 로봇이 공격받고 있습니다. 베스핀 가스가 부족합니다. 베스핀 가스가 부족합니다.
저승사자
건설 로봇이 공격받고 있습니다. 베스핀 가스가 부족합니다.
건설로봇 준비 완료. 저승사자
베스핀 가스가 부족합니다. 에너지가 부족합니다.
망했다. 건설로봇 준비 완료.
베스핀 가스가 부족합니다. 베스핀 가스가 부족합니다.
Yeah, bitch. Yeah, bitch. Yeah, bitch. That was crazy game. Holy fuck. So this guy's actually pretty good. I genuinely wonder who it is. He does play with some of the high-ranked 2v2 players. His MMR in Korea is pretty good, 4.8k in 1v1. Which, you know, I'm not actually sure what the MMR is for Master Tier 1 on NA. I believe it's 4.7k, actually. But I could be wrong on that, I'm not sure. Either way, this was a good game. Yeah, you need to... If that game had gone on any longer and I, you know, didn't have control of the match, I for sure would have lost that, because there's too many places that you have to be in at one time from one player's perspective when you're playing against two players. Those two players knew what they were doing. They knew what they were up against. So yeah, pretty insane win on my part. But that's going to conclude game number 2. So, yo, my man, Albert, thank you for the $50 donation, dude. Really appreciate that, man. Fuck yeah. Thank you. That shit keeps me going, guys. Thank you all. So appreciate that, man. Big shout out to Albert for the $50. Thank you. Yo, my man, Randolph. Thank you for the $10, dude. Really appreciate that, buddy. Very kind of you. Very kind of you. Really appreciate it, guys. Keeps me going. Thank you. All right, boys. Welcome to game. I should say welcome to the next game of the series today. Again, we've got 2 Terran. Again, it's Terran random on Efflorescence. And I unfortunately spawned the worst possible race for this scenario. Alright, so this isn't going to be as lopsided as the first game that I played on this map today. And the reason being is that it's not 2 Zerg and my teammate isn't bronze. However, it's still a little difficult. So play against 2 Terran on this map. From the Zerg perspective. And again, like I mentioned before, it's mainly just due to really the inability to take a quick third. So I actually think what I'm going to do in this game is I think I'm going to try to do a Mutalisk rush. The way I see it, mutas are pretty good against like Hellions and Banshees and Reapers, right? Those are all good. Those are all things that Mutalisks are good against. But, I don't know. My teammate seems to be going for fast Hellions. Which I don't necessarily disagree with when you do it this way. And you have a teammate who builds Lings, oftentimes you'll get away with it, although it doesn't really look like that's what he's doing. I don't know. I have no idea why he left the game.
건설로봇 준비 완료. 갑니다. 간다. 다 쓸어버리겠어. 출동 준비 완료. 다 쓸어버리겠어. 자, 빨리빨리. 다 쓸어버리겠어. 건설로봇 준비 완료. 건설로봇 준비 완료. 다음은 누구니? 건설로봇 준비 완료. 건설로봇 준비 완료. 한판 붙어볼까요, 송이?
Wow, he is still massing Reaper.
다 쓸어버리겠어. 건설로봇 준비 완료. 이번엔 확실하겠지. 계속하세요. 건설로봇 준비 완료. 다음은 누구니?
So I think if I send my mutas,
건설로봇 준비 완료.
I don't know why he's building an engineering bay, that makes no sense.
자, 빨리빨리.
So now I just kind of have to roll the dice and hopefully the bottom side Terran went for factory without any anti-air.
다 쓸어버리겠어. 갑니다.
I really missed my window of opportunity to actually win this game.
건설로봇 준비 완료.
Feels bad. I should have went left side, but I just kind of assumed that that engineering bay was
건설로봇 준비 완료.
going to be ready by the time I got there.
다음은 누구니? 다 쓸어버리겠어. 기다리고 이번. 자, 기다리고 있어.
Oh my god, I can't believe I'm actually doing it.
동맹이 전투 중 아군이 공격받고 있습니다. 광맥이 고갈되었습니다. 아군이 공격받고 있습니다. 에너지가 부족합니다. 광맥이 고갈되었습니다. 동맹이 전투 중 아군이 공격받고 있습니다. 베스핀 가스가 모자랍니다.
건설로봇 준비 완료.
동맹이 전투 중입니다.
건설로봇 준비 완료. 안 좋은 일인가요? 건설로봇 준비 완료. 에이, 깜짝이야. 다 쓸어버리겠어. 건설로봇 준비 완료.
대군 중
건설로봇 건설로봇 준비 완료.
If I get Blue Flame Hellion with my mutas, I don't think his Bioflare will continue to work.
건설로봇 준비 완료.
광맥이 고갈되었습니다. 에너지가 부족합니다.
건설로봇 준비 완료. 뭔 일 있어요?
변이
건설로봇 준비 완료.
광물이 모자랍니다.
명령을 이번엔
Let's see, I should get Overlord Speed and spread these out in case it drops.
변이 완료.
다 쓸어버리겠어. 다음은 누구니?
Gotta make some veins here. I don't have Blue Flame yet.
자, 기다리고 출동 준비 완료. 다음은 누구니? 다 쓸어버리겠어.
기지가 공격받고 있습니다. 변형 완료.
다 쓸어버리겠어. 예,
변이 완료. 동맹이 전투 중입니다. 광물이 모자랍니다.
Oh, this guy's not being revealed. I have to scout for his expo.
더 생성하십시오.
준비되셨죠? 다 쓸어버리겠어.
대군주를 더 생성하십시오.
계속하세요.
변형 완료.
다 쓸어버리겠어.
Yeah! I have no idea why my teammate left at the start of that game, but there was absolutely no reason for that. That was just inexplainable. Inexplainable conduct. Probably has something to do with his rank. Maybe he thought he was dead like when the Reaper, the first Reaper jumped into his base. But I don't know, I kind of find that hard to believe. I think there might have been more to the story. I can't read Korean, so I have no idea what they were saying, but maybe he got salty about something he said and just didn't want to deal with it anymore and left the game. I don't know. Either way, that's another insane win for the video today. Hell yeah. Yo, Ryan, thank you for the $3, dude. Really appreciate it, buddy. Very kind of you. As these donations roll in, when I am actually creating the content, I'm going to be shouting you out in little segments of the video. But at the beginning of each video, you know, I'll make it known who has supported me while I was making the content in the previous video, right? So once again, man, thank you guys. Really appreciate it. I really appreciate your guys' support. This really does help me out a lot. It gives me the motivation just to keep putting this out here for you. And, you know, fuck the haters. Dude, my man, Big Curdy, dropping the $100 donation. Holy fucking shit. Big Curdy. Wow, dude. Thank you. Holy shit. You know, I got my 30-day ban because of the Circle Jerk Discord group that Pure Legacy put together all those years ago. And I've been getting hate messages on Starcraft, you know, from them saying, ha ha ha, now you gotta go back to playing Starcraft and make no fucking money. Oh, really? In your face. Big Curdy, thank you, dude. Really appreciate it, man. Awesome stuff, dude. Thank you. What's up, boys? Got the next game of the video today. Got a random Zerg versus a random Protoss on Efflorescence. Teammate is of low rank. The opponents are both of reasonable rank, I would say. And this is actually by far the worst 2v2 comp you can have. And it's even worse because we have a Zerg opponent. It basically just means that you don't realistically have any way of securing a second base safely. So we have to open with production facilities if you ever even want to consider taking a Now, if you were playing with a Zerg teammate, it would be a little different. You'd be able to open with like a gate expand. Just because of the early game pressure that Zerg can offer you. But here, if you're a Protoss player, you understand that you're pretty weak against Zerg at the early stages of the game, and this is why you see like Forge fast expands in 1v, or not Forge fast expands, but gate expands on the low ground in 1v1. Because you need to operate off of a low production and get up a reasonable economy, right? So there are different ways that you can go about playing this matchup. I went for the Stargate here because I got scouted by a Protoss. If you go Stargate, you can usually get some damage in to the probe line. But not if it's been scouted this early. So now they both know it's coming, and my open is kind of moot.
Yes, yes, yes. Just as I deserve.
Time to get a real job, idiot.
Yo, Sergeant Rattler, thank you for the tip. It's kind of funny, I got a donation while I'm recording. Thank you, Sergeant Rattler. Really appreciate it, buddy.
예언자는 보고 있다.
Very kind of you, my man.
미래가 시작하지. 엔나르 전. 우리가 전.
We're gonna transition into Zealot
운명의 실이
Oracle.
모습을 드러낸다. 어떤 걸 보고 싶다. 차원의 실 준비 완료.
동맹기지가 공격받고 있습니다. 동맹이 교전 중입니다.
운명은 결정됐다. 운명의 때를 놓쳐.
Okay, we got
이 징조는
8. 8 workers there, so that's pretty good. And now we're just gonna save. We're gonna save our oracles for a zealot, speed zealot timer. The Zerg player has no third, so I should find out if he's going Muta. Zerg player is going Rich. I actually can't even ever remember a time where I've actually done this build. It's very unorthodox. But if you went lair, then I should be looking for Nidus Network Overlords. So there's no Nidus Network Overlord, so I think that means a frontal push. Tell my teammate I'm attacking. We did just put the third down. There's a bunch of Ravagers.
운명의 미래가 궁금한가?
영광의 전투가 펼쳐진다.
어떤 걸 보고 싶어? 이 징조는 미래가
If I, instead of going for the third, if I go for the units, then my teammates follow-up should be pretty good. We're starting to float gas a little bit, so we should get a Twilight Council. I mean, a Templar's Archive.
준비 완료.
I thought my teammate would have done a lot better with this push there.
운명의 신.
We're doing pretty good here, so we'll take a third. Now that I have this third going up, we're in a pretty good spot here. There's no, like, there's no reason to continue to pressure. Might as well just get the third up. Still trading pretty well, still pretty confident in winning. However, my composition needs to change a little bit here, so I'm gonna start going Immortal as well. Mortal seems like it's pretty good against what they're building. Just take out those that rock there because while I don't really feel threatened to die, it's just, if they do decide to counter it, you know, gives you a little more breathing room. Once I get like maybe 4 Immortals or 2, I'll push again. And in the meantime, I'll just use my Logos to harass their third bases if they have them. No third base for Zerg. Third base for Protoss. So we will wait for one more Immortal, one more round of Immortal, and then we'll push again. I don't think they'll be able to hold. Like, the only way I think they'll be able to hold is if the Zerg player has Lurker, but I have the Oracle for Revelation. So I should be alright. Probably could just go now, honestly. Take 4th base just in case, and counter with that Nidus Network play. Not gonna give chase to that. I want to save my energy for Revelation in case of Lurker. Oh, actually, if I kill the Nidus, then he can't actually go back, so I can just leave a couple units here and clean that attack up over here.
이 징조는
광맥이 고갈되었습니다.
Alright.
영광의 전투가 펼쳐진다. 영광의 전투가 펼쳐진다. 업그레이드 완료. 내 목숨을 아유해.
어떤 이 징조는 조화롭게 때를 놓쳐서
영광의 전투가 펼쳐진다.
운명과 마주쳤다.
Oh no, he has more lurkers, fuck. So, to be honest, most of the time, 2 Protoss actually just straight up loses to Protoss Zerg on this map, or any map for that matter. Especially if the map is like a split base scenario where you can't really interact with your teammate at the start of the game. So generally what you'll see is you'll see a big big Zergling spam at the start. And what that will do is it will keep the Protoss players off of the natural expansion, and the Zerg player will be able to take his natural, the Protoss player will be able to take his natural, and then it all kind of comes together, right? So you can kind of see the complication that's created if you do something like what that Zerg player did, go into Nidus network, you know. 2 base Roach into Nidus. I mean, it's just too easy to counter that, right? So this is kind of why you want to go into the heavy Zergling play so that you can keep them off of those additional bases. Because if you do let 2 Protoss get to late game, you know, we're talking like 3-4 bases, there's not really much you can do. Because, I mean, especially from the Zerg perspective, because in order to make Zerg operate correctly, they need to be remaxing, maxing, remaxing, maxing. And that's kind of like one of the imbalances in 2v2 for Zerg players, where they just don't, Zerg players just can't get to that economy to really do that max, remax type of a situation, right? Because their units are weaker. Their units, at the cost of, you know, having a huge army, like Protoss works with lower unit count, but Zerg works with higher unit count, but their units aren't as cost efficient, right? So if we take a look at the scoreboard, you can see Zerg player will generally create more units than a Protoss player. Now this game is kind of not really showcasing what I mean exactly, because he did play 2 base. But if he had played 3 base, his unit count would be way higher, right? So I ended up getting 16 MMR, and I got 22 points for this game. And that is quite a lot for Korea. So that's definitely a good win. I was able to carry the Gold League teammate, although I must say he didn't really play like he was gold. But that's going to conclude the next game of the series for today. Yo, my man, Sergeant Ratlove with the $10 donation. Thank you, buddy. So if you guys noticed from the last game, if you happen to do a donation while I'm creating the content, the alerts will go off if you want to use the Streamlabs. The Streamlabs link in the description. So, but for those of you who don't want the alerts to go off, just use the paypal.me link, and that will bypass the alerts and stuff like that. But if you, while I'm making this content, if you do a tip and you use the Streamlabs link, the notification will go off. I just thought that was kind of crazy because, you know, I'm sitting there making a video and all of a sudden there's $10 donation. So, but yeah, thank you, Sergeant Rattler. Really appreciate it, dude. Alright, my dudes, we got the next game of the video today. We got a Terran random versus a random Zerg. 2 barcodes. Very scary. Now, the perspective of barcodes has been a little different since I've been streaming, or not streaming, and just recording. First of all, I haven't really ran into a lot of barcodes while I've been streaming, or while I've been recording. And second of all, the ones that I have, the games seem pretty normal, as in like, I don't feel like I'm playing cheaters, right? So, going into this game, like if I was broadcasting, right, like if I was doing a live broadcast, I would think to myself, okay, double barcode, can't do anything crazy, gotta play standard, I'm gonna get blind countered, you know, stuff like that. But now that I'm just, you know, recording videos, the mindset is a little different. I feel like I can go into the game and really just kind of play the game the way I am comfortable and the way I like to play the game, right? So it's, you know, like, yeah, it kind of sucks that I got a 30-day suspension on Twitch, but at the same time, it's kind of a fresh, you know, it's like a breath of fresh air. Because I feel like I'm spending a lot less time getting hard countered and, you know, I just feel like the games are a little more organic, right? And of course, naturally, that's going to happen because you're not live streaming. But anyway, so we have a TZ versus TZ here, and I didn't actually know this when I started this match. Otherwise, I would have opted for a different build, unfortunately. That is what happened, and now I gotta kind of make do with what I'm doing here. This build usually gets countered by factory play. Unfortunately, he has gone for 3 racks, and now I am very far behind. And we definitely have a problem in the teammate department. He has expanded in the wrong place. That expansion that he took is basically impossible to hold against Reapers and Zerglings. But I don't know. We might be able to make it work. Either way, I lost the first Reaper, and so that means that I have to go up to the quick 5 racks to make up for that loss. If he is indeed going 3 racks, which is what he is doing. I didn't want to burn a scan there, but I don't cheat, so didn't really have much of a choice.
동맹 기지가 공격받고 있습니다. 베스핀 가스가 부족합니다. 동맹이 공격받고 있습니다. 베스핀 가스가 부족합니다.
저승사자가
동맹이 공격받고 있습니다. 베스핀 가스가 부족합니다.
하늘에서 중요한 요구를
베스핀 가스가 부족합니다.
건설로봇 준비 완료.
베스핀 가스가 부족합니다.
저승사자
기지가
So we can clearly see that there's a big skill gap
건설로봇 준비
between the players in this game.
도착했다.
베스핀 가스가 부족합니다.
I am definitely playing at the disadvantage here.
저승사자가 도착했다.
광물이 부족합니다.
저승사자가 도착했다.
베스핀 가스가 부족합니다.
저승사자가 도착.
베스핀 가스가 부족합니다. 동맹이 공격받고 있습니다.
무슨 일이죠? 여긴 못 지켰는데요.
동맹이 공격받고 있습니다. 베스핀 가스가
But the
부족합니다.
good news is it was actually a blessing in disguise for him to kill my first Reaper,
도착했다.
because he probably took an expansion, and I went up to the
베스핀 가스가 부족합니다.
the fourth and fifth barracks, right?
다시 말해. 누굴 저승사자가 도착했다.
The issue is here is that I can't be aggressive because my teammate is not playing
베스핀 가스가 부족합니다.
the way you're supposed to play, and so I think what will actually end up happening here is I'll probably just die to Mutalisk.
저승사자가 도착했다.
동맹이 베스핀 가스가 부족합니다.
왜? 뭐?
동맹 기지가 공격받고 있습니다.
저승사자가 도착했다.
베스핀 가스가 부족합니다.
다시 저승사자.
베스핀 가스가 부족합니다. 베스핀 가스가 부족합니다.
말해봐. 저승사자가 도착.
베스핀 가스가 부족합니다.
난 하늘에 건설로봇 준비 완료.
베스핀 가스가 부족합니다.
마
베스핀 가스가 부족.
저승사자가 도착했다. 에이, 깜짝이야. 사신이 보였지 않나? 저승사자가 도착.
베스핀 가스가
I feel like the only way to like really be able to put on the pressure is if I keep spamming,
건설로봇 준비 완료.
but he's definitely gone muted, so I don't have a choice but to transition now.
광물이 부족합니다.
하늘에 저승사자가 도착했다. 건설로봇 준비 완료.
광물이 부족합니다. 광물이 부족합니다. 에너지가 부족합니다. 부속 건물 완성. 광물이 부족합니다. 광물이 부족합니다.
중요한 일인가?
Suppose the good news is that he's building a spire, but I don't really think it matters.
사령부 업그레이드 완료.
에이, 깜짝. 건설로봇 준비 완료.
광물이 부족합니다. 광물이 부족합니다. 에너지가 부족합니다.
So I can't be aggressive anymore here because I'm making the transition out of Reapers and he's still on Reapers.
광물이 부족합니다. 에너지가 부족합니다. 광물이 부족합니다. 에너지가 부족합니다. 광물이 부족합니다. 에너지가 광물이 부족합니다.
But again, I didn't have a choice but to transition because the dude went mutas, I think.
광물이 부족합니다. 광물이 부족합니다. 광물이 부족합니다.
Yeah.
사령부
건설로봇 준비 완료. 다음은 누구니?
광물이 부족합니다. 광물이 부족합니다.
So that engagement right there is actually really huge.
광물이 부족합니다.
Like his mutas came out just in time,
건설로봇 이번엔 확실하겠지.
광물이
and
부족합니다.
I think that the Terran player has not made his transition yet.
연구 완료.
다음은 누구?
에너지가 부족합니다.
자, 빨리. 예. 출동 준비 완료.
동맹이 공격받고 있습니다.
건설로봇 준비 완료.
And he actually has more muta.
에너지가 부족합니다.
So the early game definitely did not work out for us, but
부속 건물 완성.
my teammate does seem to be stepping up a little bit.
동맹이 공격받고 있습니다. 동맹이 공격받고
건설로봇
있습니다.
준비 완료. 계속하세요.
부속 건물 완성.
So he has now made his transition, but I think I have better economy. No, I definitely don't have a better economy.
광물이 부족합니다. 부속 건물 완성.
안 좋은 일인가요?
So this game is definitely not over.
명령을 내리실 겁니까?
I actually feel like I'm at a disadvantage. I may have the marine tech, but I definitely don't have the econ.
광물이 부족합니다.
깜짝이야. 이번엔 자. 네. 건설로봇 준비 완료.
연구 완료.
후방
That overlord makes me nervous because I feel like he might be trying to go.
광맥이 고갈되었습니다.
건설로봇 준비 완료. 예예.
No, it does not work.
이번엔 확실히 연료 채웠습니다. 준비 완료. 갑니다. 간다고요.
광물이 부족합니다.
구성 준비 완료.
건설로봇
에너지가 부족합니다.
I feel like I should put up the sensor tower here. Kind of really need to hold on to this third base. If I lose that third base, I'm screwed.
예. 뭔 일이 있어요?
광물이 부족합니다. 에너지가 부족합니다.
건설로봇 준비 완료.
보급고가 부족합니다.
준비 끝났습니다. 에이, 깜짝이야.
에너지가 부족합니다. 보급고가 부족합니다. 광물이 부족합니다.
Kind of weird. I really did genuinely think that I was like really far ahead.
기다리고 있.
에너지가 부족합니다.
Damn, I can't scan. Oh god, he didn't go tanks, but he does have the upgrade advantage, so I have to be careful here. But I am gonna try and siege up the third base.
광맥이 고갈되었습니다. 업그레이드 완료. 광맥이 고갈되었습니다. 광맥이 고갈되었습니다.
Which turned out to be a really bad idea.
뭘 날려버릴까요?
뭐라고요?
동맹 광물이 부족합니다. 동맹이 공격받고 있습니다. 광물이 부족합니다. 에너지가 부족합니다.
I definitely underestimated the marine count there.
준비 완료. 이번엔 확실.
광물이
He
부족합니다.
did have he had an upgrade advantage, but I thought for sure that I'd be able to do more.
준비 완료. 자, 빨리.
동맹이 공격받고 있습니다. 광물이
So my teammate is
부족합니다.
actually playing
에너지가
like
부족합니다.
miles better
연료 채웠습니다.
than the Zerg player, which is actually quite it's incredible to think about considering how the open looked.
동맹이 공격받고 있습니다. 업그레이드 완료.
Oh my god, did you see that? The fucking +1 on the siege tank just evaporated that army.
에너지가 부족합니다. 동맹이 공격받고 있습니다. 광맥이 고갈되었습니다. 있습니다.
준비 끝났습니다.
갑니다.
Definitely making a few micro
에너지가
errors here.
부족합니다.
자, 빨리.
업그레이드 완. 광물이 부족합니다.
말씀하. 갑니다. 그리고 있어 간다고요.
업그레이드 광물이 부족합니다. 동맹이 공격받고 있습니다. 베스핀 가는 전입부가
자, 빨리. 자, 이번엔 기다립니다. 간다고요. 명령을 내리십시오. 자, 준비 끝났습니다. 붙어볼까요, 송이?
동맹이 공격받고 있습니다.
후방 지원 대기 중. 갑니다. 간다고.
Get another base here. Oh my god, he's got ultras now.
출동 준비 완료.
동맹 기지가 공격받고 있습니다.
갑니다. 간다고.
Crazy.
자, 빨리.
광맥이 동맹이 공격받고 있습니다. 업그레이드 광물이 부족합니다. 광물이 부족합니다.
연료 채웠습니다.
광물이 부족합니다.
이번엔 확실하겠지.
Yeah, that's where I'm going,
광맥이
dude.
고갈되었습니다.
다음은 누구? 자, 다들 빨리. 좋습니다.
베스핀 가누천이 동맹이 공격받고 있습니다.
여기 지원이 필요하다고요. 다음은
동맹이 공격받고 있습니다. 동맹이 공격받고 있습니다.
누가 나 좀 구해줘요.
명령을 내리실 겁니까? 한판 붙어볼까요?
건설 로봇이 공격받고 있습니다. 동맹이 공격받고 있습니다. 기지가 공격받고 있습니다.
장난 아닙니다.
동맹이 광물이 부족합니다. 동맹이 공격받고 있습니다. 광물이 고갈되었습니다. 기지가 공격받고 있습니다. 동맹이 공격받고 있습니다.
Maybe I should have put like
계속하세요. 자,
광맥이 고갈되었습니다.
maybe some
업그레이드 완료.
Thors in the comp. I don't know. I've been parade marching the whole game, and I think that's one of the mistakes that I've been making. Here.
계속하세요. 안 좋은 일인가요? 다음 이번엔 자, 이번엔 명령 다음 자, 기다리고 있어.
에너지가 부족합니다.
구송 준비 완료.
사령부 업그레이드 완료. 광물이 부족합니다. 동맹이 광물이 부족합니다. 에너지가 부족합니다.
Just going for the kill versus
자, 기다리고 이번엔
making sure I had a backup plan.
끝났습니다.
광물이 부족합니다.
명령을 내리시 이번엔 출동 준비 완료.
에너지가 부족합니다.
갑니다. 간다고요.
광물이 부족합니다. 건설 로봇이 공격받고 있습니다. 업그레이드 완료.
I'm gonna go in here and just get his production.
출동 준비 완료.
동맹이 공격받고 있습니다.
좋습니다. 준비 완료.
업그레이드 광물이 부족합니다. 기지가 공격받고 있습니다.
I just hear a nuke? I thought I just heard a nuke.
가볼까요, 송이? 다음은 누구니? 갑니다. 간다고요.
광물이 동맹이 공격받고 있습니다.
Oh, maybe that's just the sound from like these buildings with the skins or whatever.
동맹 기지가 공격받고 있습니다. 광물이 부족합니다.
Actually, I better not move out with those. His mutaball is pretty high, so I should probably just
동맹 기지가 공격받고 있습니다.
구성 준비 완료.
make sure I have enough to where he'll never be able to actually take an engagement and beat my army.
예, 알았다.
광물이 부족합니다. 동맹이 공격받고 있습니다.
기다리. 말씀하십시오. 자, 다들 들었지? 이번엔 확실하게 간다고요.
So there it is. Man, what a game. What a game, what a game. It's good stuff. So in the early stages of this match, we could clearly see the platinum level play coming out of my teammate, right? Like he expanded in the wrong place. It made it really difficult to hold on to the base that he was holding on to. But as the game progressed, he stepped the hell up. And he actually ended up carrying the game, in my opinion. So, very well played. Very well played by this guy. Okay, so he's not actually platinum. He's a master rank player. But, I mean, let's be real. Expanding where he expanded is not something you want to do, especially not against Ling Bane Reaper all in. We did hold it, but if he was playing with somebody who was like of less skill and didn't make the decisions that were made, he definitely would have got wrecked, because it was actually a blessing in disguise when my first Reaper got killed, because when that happens, you have to forego your expansion and you have to create 2 additional Raxes, because if he stays on 3 Rax Reapers and takes a CC, then you're doomed if you do the same thing, because his Reaper count will always be higher, right? So you need to adjust the way you play based off of the things that happen within the game. So if I had known that he was going through Rax Reapers, obviously I wouldn't have sent my first Reaper into the base. I would have known that I'm fighting into Reaper macro, and you can't fight into Reaper macro. You have to either meet halfway in the middle of the map, or you have to let them come to you. Because if you take a bad engagement, then the game is basically over, because the snowball will start there. So because I was able to identify that mistake that I made and capitalize on this mistake that I made, I was able to have enough Reapers for when they were fighting into his expansion to defend his expansion efficiently, expand, etc. And then when the when it came crunch time, fuck man, there he was. He had the mutas, he had what he needed to have, and that's why we were able to win, because he played well, right? So hats off to this teammate for fucking stepping up and, you know, not sucking a big ball sack the entire game, which is most of the time what you see with platinum rank players. Now, obviously, we can see here this guy's not plat. But yeah, it was good stuff. It was fantastic to finally have a decent teammate. So, moving on to the next game. What's up, boys? Got the next game for you. TZ versus Random Zerg. And that looks like a Silver League teammate. I watch this guy stream all the time, Faker. I got Zerg, I'm playing against ZT. I have a Silver League teammate. What do I do? First thing that goes through my mind is that going for a macro game is not a very smart idea. But the problem is that on a map like this, where the distance between the 2 bases are like really close, or excuse me, far apart from each other, trying to do early aggression generally just doesn't work out. But, you know, it's like, okay, so what are my options? I can play for the longer game, and hopefully they're both of unreasonable skill. And then maybe win that way, or I can try to do an early aggressive play and get the win that way. I think the best option for me here is just to do a Zerglin family spam and just kind of hope that maybe they play a little too greedy and I at least get a lot of damage in and I can transition out of it. Or I can just do it and hopefully I'll get some kill pressure and I'll be able to win. Problem here though is that because there's a Zerg on his team, or on their team, the all-in going undetected is a rather difficult thing to do, and frankly impossible on a map like this, because, you know, the Overlord's going to be parked like right there. He's going to be able to see it super early when you're going to do the all-in, so everything screams don't all-in on this map. But I'm not really willing to take the risk of playing like a long game and trying to beat 400 army supply with 200 army supply. I mean, I gotta say though, I mean, so far he doesn't look that bad, so maybe I made the wrong decision. I don't know. I still think this is okay. Oh, there's no expansion too. So there's no expo there. So that would typically mean some kind of early pressure. Maybe like a battle cruiser rush or something like that. So the reason I'm waiting for speed is because if this gets spotted without speed, that just gives them more time to prepare, right? So I was pretty diligent about searching for overlords at the front. Now they see it. And fucking Hellions. I'm just gonna try to run past the natural air. Back her up a little bit behind it. So there's no lair out of my teammates, so I'm going to transition to the lair. I don't really think I did enough damage with that. I did kill a lot of Hellions, but he's on a reactored Hellion, like a reactored factory. So I'm going to build a Spine Crawler in case they try to counter-aggress. The problem here, though, is that Zerg player has that third base. And I don't really feel like I traded well enough. So they're pushing now. Do a run by here, maybe there's drones. Oh, the Zerg player was pushing. Terran player stayed behind. going to be very difficult to hold, if at all possible. Okay, so that wasn't actually the end of the world. That one spine crawler really soaked up a lot of damage. Let's try going up this way. Maybe I can kill some of his drones, or maybe even snipe a spore crawler. Get down there with my Muta. I'm just gonna try and dart in with all these and see. There's Spire. Terran player has no anti-air. He probably has Thor's cooking. When you play against a Spire play, you have to get Carapace on your mutas, not weapons. So I'm just gonna try to kill as many SCVs as I can before his mutas come out, before that Thor comes out. Wow, I was not expecting that. Fuck. I lost literally every single drone, actually. That's fucking terrible. But my teammate has an advantage over both players, so this game should be over. I think we've won. I'm also capping the Zerg player pretty heavily here. So I lost a couple of mutas there, but it's actually not a big deal because he got a Nidus network off in his main. So, you know, if you're paying attention to the mini-map, you can make plays like that, and it's always worth it. Yeah, I lost a couple of mutas. But at the end of the day, it was definitely worth it. Ooh, he got Carapace too. It's actually pretty uncommon in 2v2 to see a player know that he needs to get Carapace in this particular scenario. Hopefully he ends up making the mistake of going for +2 Carapace. If he does make that mistake, I can just engage and win. And I think his teammate is actually feeding him gas, so I need to build spore crawlers here. I think he's gonna have more mutas than me. I'm actually not 100% sure on what the upgrade sequence is. But I think it's carapace, weapons, weapons. Either way, I can just straight up engage those once I take out that spore. Never mind. Oh, he got, he upgraded properly. So, those two players I played against were actually pretty decent. The Terran player wasn't so good. The Zerg player definitely knew what he was doing. So I'm actually curious to see like what rank he actually is. It looks like a Smurf account, right? He's only got 119 games, but the guy he literally made every decision correctly. So there's a sequence when it's Muta versus Muta, right? There's a sequence that you need to follow. The Mutalisk have, it's called the Glaive Worm is the name of the attack. And the way the Glaive Worm works is that when the glaive leaves the Muta, it bounces to targets with diminishing attack damage, right? So what that means is the first glaive does, the first impact does what the tooltip says of how much, you know, whatever that damage is, right? 20 or something. Who knows what it is? I don't remember what it is. But then it bounces to multiple targets, and then that tooltip damage decreases as the glaive is bouncing. So when you're in a Mutalisk versus Mutalisk scenario, by upgrading Carapace before you get weapons, it means that those bounces, that diminishing return of attack, that damage is mitigated more, right? So if you go weapons and your opponent goes Carapace, there is no point in any skirmish unless you have way more Mutalisk to where you don't even have to watch the fight, right? And if you see people make that mistake, you get put at an advantage because you can spend less time controlling your mutas and more time working on economy, right? Now, of course, it's a little different. In last game, I could never really take an engagement because every time I would try, Cyclones were there blasting my shit, right? So obviously he's going to win. But I just found it kind of interesting because it is not very often where you run into players who have that understanding of what the sequence of upgrades are. So again, to reiterate, when it's Mutalisk versus Mutalisk, you want to get Carapace, weapons, and then I believe it's weapons, because I believe that the attack damage that's increased by +2 is more value than the armor that is increased by +2 Carapace, right? Don't quote me on that. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure that that's the sequence. And that, my dudes, is going to conclude the next game of the series. What's up, boys? Back with the next game for you. Got a little bit of random Zerg and a little bit of Terran random. On the efflorescence.
광물이 더 필요합니다. 광물이 더 필요합니다. 광물이 더 필요합니다. 광물이 더 필요합니다. 광물이 더 필요합니다.
I don't have a Zerg teammate, so I'm actually just gonna open 2-gate here. 2-gate into Stargate.
광물이 더 필요합니다.
Oh, actually I messed my wall up here. Oh, I think that's okay.
광물이 더 필요합니다. 광물이 더 필요합니다.
Should have put the pylon back a little bit. Because when you wall the way I wall, it seals the deal with the core there, but fucked it up.
광물이 더 필요합니다.
So to fix it, I'll just put a pylon there. Not a big deal. So we're fighting Terrans or yeah, I think a Stargate opens appropriate here.
동맹기지가 공격받고 있습니다.
Now, one of the things I'll say is that when the Terran player scouts you first, that typically means that he has spawned parallel to you.
베스핀가스가 더 필요합니다. 베스핀가스가 더 필요합니다.
So since the SCV entered my base first, he would spawn here, right?
베스핀가스가 더
I'm going to
필요합니다.
operate under that assumption. But I'll get the information with that Reaper. Yeah, see. That's just kind of natural for players to scout in that pattern. When you've played as many games as I played, you really start to pick up on that.
베스핀가스가 더
So the first Oracle is going to go to Terran.
동맹이 교전 중입니다.
명령을 내리고 전투를 원하는 말한 우리가 아이어 사랑 나자카 원하는
차원의 시 준비 완료.
I really handled that bad.
베스핀가스가 더 필요합니다.
I wasn't expecting some kind of a Reaper open.
전투가 기다린다.
운명의
동맹이 교전
Definitely
중입니다.
a weird open.
시작. 미래가 이 운명의 실이 모습을 어떤 걸 운명의 실
Go after the SCVs here.
우리의 운명은 하나. 우리는 연자는 보고 있다. 조화롭.
I could sacrifice
부족합니다.
my Oracle to kill some more workers, but I
연구 완료.
think I'd rather save them.
때를 놓쳐서 시작.
So I think we're gonna do something a little similar to what we did earlier.
이 징조는 운명의
동맹이 교전 중입니다.
첫 번째 작은
Try Zealot Oracle.
원하는
어떤 걸 별 엔나르딘 라자가 차원의 시 준비 완료.
베스핀가스가 탐사 동맹이 교전 있습니다.
운명은 결정된다.
델람의 영광스러운 전투를 맞이
광물이 더 필요합니다. 동맹기지가 공격받고 있습니다.
So this is why opening Oracles can be good here,
때를
because a lot of times you will see Zerg players do that bullshit.
운명의 이
It's just a little tricky to hold. Really, I should have made a battery
때를
that I just really wasn't expecting
엔나르딘
this continued nonsense.
이 징조는 시작.
동맹기지가 공격받고 있습니다. 동맹이 교전 중입니다.
really wish at some point this teammate would like get something out here so I don't have to keep 1v2ing this.
운명의 엔나르딘
수정탑이 더 필요합니다.
Never even ended up killing the damn Zerg player.
동맹 교전 중입니다.
미래가 궁금한가?
Never mind, he did. Thank you, teammate.
광물이 더 필요합니다.
어떤 걸 시작?
It's actually so hot in my apartment, I'm actually dripping sweat.
이 징조는 운명의 실이
I can feel it going down my leg. Feels bad, dude.
미래가 곧 때를 놓쳐서는 이 징조는 우리는 해석한다. 걸 보고
Definitely not having the greatest of games here, but all that shit they did at the start of the game really threw me off my groove.
수정탑이 더 필요합니다. 수정탑이 더 필요합니다.
But yeah, that's part of the reason why opening with oracles can be good on a map where you can't really secure a base easily. I guess he's trolling. I don't really know what he's doing.
가사.
Okay, so the problem here is that Terran player has all the additional economy, so I can't take it. I have to get AoE. And make a lot of stuff right now. Here's my teammates going up to 4 bases. Just how the cookie crumbles. And I don't have blink either, so not having blink here is kind of a problem. So maybe I'll just use stasis force. I mean, I am over mineral, but that should clear up when those gateways come out. Normally you would just take a third, but his economy is so escalated, I feel like I need just to build a storm right now. Zealots and storm.
미래가 궁금한가?
I guess I could send that across the map in Revelation his army. Alright, well I'm running out of minerals, so I gotta take third.
운명의 이 징조 시작하자. 운명은 결정된다.
Ooh, I hope he goes right on top of that, that'd be sick. I'm actually gonna expand over here.
광물이 고갈되었습니다. 수정탑이 더 필요합니다.
어떤 걸 보고
수정탑이 더 필요합니다.
I guess I should probably get forges now. Because if I expand up here, it'll tax him as far as his multitasking is concerned. It's definitely not an efficient base to take. Feels okay for this situation.
때를 놓쳐 미래가 이 징조
Oh, money. The money storms. Yeah, so those opponents were actually pretty decent. So in the beginning stages of the game, I opened with a Stargate. I went 2-gate into Stargate, and I almost always default with this against Zerg. The only time I'll generally deviate from that is if I'm playing against or if I'm playing with a Zerg teammate. Because if you have a Zerg teammate, the map presence is kind of on par or equal to the opponents. So you can generally get away with doing things like, you know, walling the low ground, walling off, you know, playing more of an economical game. I didn't handle the Reapers and the Lings very well, and truth be told, it's just because I'm not used to that. It's been a long time since I've actually had to deal with that. But this is part of the reason why opening with Oracles is good. Because it DPS's light units really fast. So it's good against Reapers, it's good against Speedlings, and it kind of just, at the cost of you having a later expansion, the later expansion is actually an expansion that you can take versus an expansion that you're going to lose, right? So, GG! Alright, boys, that is going to be it for today's video. I want to give a massive shout out to Albert, Randolph, Ryan, Big Curdy, and Sergeant Ratla for their contributions. Actually, during the production of this video. My hat's off to you guys. Thank you very much for supporting what I do, and really appreciate it. So, if you guys have any questions or concerns, gripes, or anything like that, you can leave them in the comments. I do hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hit that thumbs up button if you like it. Hit that down thumbs button if you don't. Outside of that, I'll see you guys with the next video. Have a good day, boys. Thank you all very much.